Welcome to the podcast We Are Made for More with Megan Alexander. In this podcast, we'll strive to inspire people around the world to become the best version of themselves by featuring guests with experiences and mindsets that demonstrate that we are all made for more.
Join Megan for a heartwarming journey as Karen DeLuca unfolds her life's adventures threaded with tales of strength, reinvention, and unyielding determination. Their conversation captures the art of navigating life's challenges, from the demanding world of fitness to the strategic plays within the corporate sphere, all harmonized with the symphony of twin parenthood. Learn how an injury made Karen reinvent herself by diving into a new venture of landscape design. You're invited to ponder the story of your own life and explore the courage it takes to pursue one's passions at any stage. And now, let's listen to another inspirational podcast of We Are Made for More.
Hello, and welcome to We Are Made for More. I am your host, Megan Alexander, and this is my podcast. Hello, everybody. So today on my show, we have a special guest. I guess I say that every time because I happen to think every guest is special. So welcome to my friend, Karen DeLuca. Hey, Karen.
Hello. Good to be here.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. So what I want to do first is tell everybody a little bit about you, and then we'll jump in and have a fun conversation. That's my goal.
Okay. Sounds good.
So everyone, Karen's is a story of resilience, constantly evolving with the times and changes in life. From fitness professional to corporate America to starting a family, navigating the juggling of raising her twins while working today. We'll talk about some of Karen's life philosophies and how she navigated the many changes that came her way.
Yep.
So let's kick off with how we know each other.
Yeah. Well, I have my husband to thank for that because he, being an architect, has the pleasure of having your husband help his clients with their audiovisual needs.
Yeah.
And that developed into a really nice friendship. And we started seeing each other throughout the years at different parties.
Yes.
And then we came together with when you had some fitness needs and you had some interest in that. And we had such great conversations every time we got together. It just became a great friendship.
Totally agree. And it's so cool how life happens that way, right? I'm sure everybody can relate to that. You meet someone and you're drawn to that person for a number of reasons. And throughout the years, we've been lucky enough to get to know each other a lot better. And you're one of my people. So,
and it's funny. It's interesting because there are a few people in my life where I have met them and instantly felt some kind of, I don't know, kindred spirit type of, do I know them from somewhere else? Did I run into them at some point? And I kind of felt that way with you.
Wow, really?
Yeah, from the very start.
Okay, I like hearing that. It's interesting you say that too. That's something that's been on my mind lately, and we'll probably talk about this more than once today, which is we've both recently been injured.
Yes.
And throughout this kind of injury journey, we kept running into each other at physical therapy. So here's the funny thing about it.
Yeah, but there's so many hours in the day.
Right.
And 7 days, 6 days, they're not open on Sundays.
Right.
And two locations.
And so it was funny, like the first time, oh, wow, it's so great to see you here. And then it happened again. And like you said, one day it'd be at 10 a.m., one day it'd be 11 a.m. We never planned it. And it just kept happening.
Yep. It's like we're being drawn together for some reason. And I want to, okay, let's talk about that for 1 minute. Has anyone out there ever noticed that they're all of a sudden they're running into somebody in life, and maybe it happens more than once? I would implore you to pause and think about that. Like, why do I keep running into you? Instead of just saying, oh, how funny, what a coincidence, we keep running into each other. If you say in some moment, like, I keep running into somebody, stop and pay attention to that. Because I think the universe is trying to tell you something. What do you think about that? Am I crazy? No, I totally agree with that. I think that, you need to be you just need to be aware of things that are going on in your life, because you know, in this crazy life, everyone's rushing, going, doing, never really taking that time to pause and think about things. Mm-hmm. And I think the importance of that is that you can unfortunately you can miss out on a lot of opportunities if you don't take the time to pause and think about, why am I running into Megan all this every time I go to PT?
Right.
At all these different hours and different days and different locations. Like, how is that happening? We have very different schedules. Mm-hmm. We have very busy schedules.
Right.
Yet we keep running into one another.
Yeah.
So, and what I love about it is that I'm 61 years old, mm-hmm. and at 61 years old, I met someone who I think is a really important person in my life. And I think I said this to you recently, that our spirits kind of maybe were meant to be together, or to be in each other's lives. It just took a really long time for it to happen.
Yes, you did say that, because I think, I started to, like I said, pay attention to us running into each other. And I sent you a text like, okay, again, everyone, we're friends, right? We see each other in other circumstances, but it just kind of kept happening where it was so like, okay, this is intentional. And that's why we decided we've got to get together and talk and have this conversation with everybody out there, because we wanted to pay attention to it. So you did. You said, hey, I'm so glad that this came full circle. And even though we've been in each other's lives, we're paying more attention to that now and able to spend more time together. So
yeah, love it.
So the show is called Are Made for More. That's why I just spent so much time even on that segment of what we just discussed, because I think it's important that we all stop and reflect on things a little more often. Everything whizzes by us so quickly. And like you just said, the pause helps sometimes bring, more clarity to things. And I'm talking about this right now too, because your journey is pretty cool. You just mentioned that we also have crossed paths with my fitness journey. I've had 6 guests so far. 3 of them have been part of my fitness journey. Karen, what does that tell you? I'm constantly trying. Listen, everybody, try and fail, try and succeed, try. I keep trying. And you're one of those fitness people in my life. So tell us a little bit about your story. Let's start with the fitness world, because it started when you were really young, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I love to tell this story because it's kind of funny. I was 3 years old, and my 2 older sisters, who were only like 20 months apart from one another, they had gone off to school, and I was home. I was 3 years old, and I was home with my baby sister, who was only 6 months old. And I was watching TV one day, and I think it was Romper Room was a show that was on. And right after Romper Room, the Jack LaLanne show would come on.
Wow.
And Jack LaLanne would, talk to the television and say, hey, go get your mom, your grandmom, your granddad, and bring them over to the TV. And I felt like he was, talking to me personally. Mm-hmm. And of course, I tried to get my mom to do it. She never would. But I started doing Jack LaLanne, his fitness program, at the age of 3.
My goodness. And talk about a very young age you got started.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And from there, I continued in the fitness world. I became a gymnast and a cheerleader. Then when I went to college, I was teaching intramural exercise classes. At the time, Jane Fonda was the thing, the craze. This is 1981.
I remember that well.
Yep. And I was doing intramurals at Stony Brook University. And then shortly thereafter, a gym opened, which that wasn't really a thing back in those days.
True.
They had like hardcore gyms where like guys went and pumped iron. This was more of a fitness club. And it was called Greg Buttle's Health and Fitness Center. And it opened up, the first one, he ended up owning 3, 2 on Long Island, 1 in New Jersey. But the first one was in East Meadow.
Okay.
And I went in, and I was the first aerobics instructor that they hired.
Wow.
Yep. And started teaching classes, all kinds of, low impact aerobics, high impact aerobics, toning classes, stretching classes.
And how old were you at that time around?
I think I was 20.
Okay. So I'm thinking back to, I love when people tell their stories, I kind of try and put myself in that place. Where was I then?
Right.
And I do remember well the Jane Fonda era.
Yep.
And the tights and
the
those
leg warmers and the headbands.
Yes. Did you do all that too?
Oh, yes,
Of course. We all try to do that. And then, though, you're right. I remember there was something called like jazzercise.
Yes.
Right around that time.
Yep. That was all around the same time.
Yes.
But like jazzercise was just for women. That was like a women's club.
Right, okay.
And it was just classes. This was a fitness club that had machines and free weights and a room just specifically for the exercise classes, and there was a pool and a hot tub and steam rooms and saunas.
That was okay. So that was
yeah,
a full
and a
gym
restaurant and a beauty salon. And, I mean, it had everything. It was really truly a club, and it was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was like belonging to a club.
So that was your first like foray into like getting paid to do fitness.
Yes,
right.
It was my first paying fitness job. And at the time, there wasn't anything called personal training. You know, people would come to the gym. So I was teaching aerobics classes, but I also was trained. They trained me. The fitness director trained me to show people how to use the equipment.
Right.
We used to do fitness evaluations. So nobody would start their workouts until they were evaluated to make sure that they were healthy enough to actually do a fitness program.
Okay.
So I was trained on all of that, and I was a college student at the time. So, you know, I went to school, and then I was at the gym most of the time. I was sometimes opening up or being at the gym at 6 a.m. doing a stretch class at 6 a.m. I mean, most college students, you know, would not be getting up that early to go to a gym.
So true. I mean, as I hear you talking about it now, and like I've already said to everybody that we've known each other a number of years now, it's amazing because you've always done it. It's part of the fabric of who you are.
Yeah.
And it's why you look the way you do, quite frankly. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Amazing. And it's inspiring. It's inspiring to be around someone that has such like a constitution to make that such a value in your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been really important to me. It makes me feel really good for my, you know, just for my own health, but it makes me feel good when I help other people feel good about their health. And it's not necessarily about the way they look.
Yeah.
You know, the way you look through fitness is really just a bonus.
Yeah.
The fitness part of it is how you feel. And I enjoy helping people feel good.
Wow. I mean, let's just put some quotes around that and boom, we could be done with this episode. That's how good that was. I feel that that's totally who you are. When I think of Karen DeLuca, it's that she cares. And I would say that to my husband. Like, we started working out together. I don't remember exactly when it was, a little over a year ago. And I would come to your fitness studio at your house. And I'd always, you just said it, I'd feel fantastic after I left. And it wasn't just because of the workout, Karen. You're a blast. You're a blast. You made it fun, you know, when you're on the bike for 20 minutes and you would just keep, next thing I know, 20 minutes was over. You were talking up a storm and you know how to network people. Every minute you say things like, do you know this person? Do you know that person? Do you know this person? Does it sound like you?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So like the gift of gab on top of it, like just helps people move, helps get them going.
Yeah. Well, it's a good distraction and it's a good way to, you know, exercising can sometimes be a little bit of a chore, let's face it. But when you're doing it with someone who you feel really comfortable with, who you know that their goal is to help you to feel better. Yeah. You know, it just makes you get like sort of a connection with them that you can't really get like when you just go to the gym and you're working out on your own. But that's not to say you shouldn't do that. That's important. Any way that's going to get you to exercise, I'm all for it. As long as it's healthy and everything's in moderation. That's my mantra, really. Moderation.
Yeah. Well, that's a great mantra. For me personally, I keep trying to do it. It's like a get back on the horse again. And we could weave into our injuries a little bit here.
Yes. Yes.
You know, you just mentioned your age. I'm in my early 50s, so I can relate to the kind of, you know, age part of life where my body doesn't work the same way it used to. Right. And you think it does. You think you're going to get out there and, I can do this. And you feel great. And then the body doesn't work the same way, whether it's tendons or bones or what have you. So tell us a little bit about what happened with your injury.
Well, and just so everybody knows, the older you get, the harder it gets. So it's not that, this person is so much better off than I am. everybody has experiences injuries at some point in their life. As you get older, it does get a little harder to come back from the injuries. I was always very consistent in my exercise, and so it was pretty shocking to me, not just physically, but emotionally. It was shocking to me that I got injured the way I did, because it was not something fancy. I wasn't out like doing like skiing some moguls or something. I was literally demonstrating an exercise to my 6 a.m. clients. I had 2 clients that would come 2-3 times a week at 6 a.m. And I was demonstrating a lateral shuffle, they were just getting into playing pickleball, and I had Googled what's a good exercise to strengthen the muscles for pickleball playing. And this exercise was one of them. And I went to demonstrate it because I do an interval training, as you know. Yes. My workouts are usually interval training. So we go from one station to another station. And this was the last station of the workout for that particular morning. And I shuffled across, and I had built up some momentum, and my foot caught and my body kept going. So my leg bent the wrong way, and I broke my tibial plateau, which is where all of your weight bearing goes. Oh, man. So that's a tough one. And I was told by my doctor, like, oh, you got the football injury. That's a big, apparently it's only like 2% of fractures are of the tibial plateau, and it's usually football players or athletes.
From going side to side and some of those movements.
They're planting, and somebody hits them from the side, so the leg bends the wrong way. Yeah, it bends sideways. So it was, I can't even say if it was painful, because all I knew is as I was flying through the air, I knew something bad happened because I heard the sound. And I knew something bad happened, but I landed and I was like, okay, get myself together. Yeah. And we're going to continue exercising. It's
oh my goodness.
Yeah. But then, your body tells you, okay, something is really wrong. So about 20 minutes later, I was like, okay, not feeling great. Time to listen to my body. And I stopped the workout. And as it turned out, it was a break. Yeah. It was and there was also ligaments that were, pretty severely sprained. So
that's tough.
It was tough.
How long of a recovery was that?
It was. I was 6 weeks in a fully locked brace, no weight bearing at all. So if I had to, go to the bathroom or take a shower, showering was really hard. I would have to do that on crutches, but I couldn't put any weight on it at all. Wasn't allowed. So
that's tough.
It was really tough. And then 6 weeks where they unlocked the brace, I still couldn't put no weight bearing, but I was able to get around a little better because I could bend the leg a little bit, because the brace was unlocked. And then it was, so that was 12 weeks. And then it was probably about another 4 weeks without the brace, except if I was in public. They wanted the brace on and crutches. So
I get that too, because they want people to not bump into you. Exactly. And it really does make a difference. And I'm going through some of that right now with myself, my shoulder surgery that I had, but that's not what this story is about. But I get that because I'm out of my sling now, but they say wear it out in public if you're going like somewhere, because you're still healing, and people, they are more considerate when they see
absolutely
a brace or something. And they'll help you. People will help you, like, oh, can I open the door for you? Or can I, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing how people will really come, to your aid when they see you in a brace or a sling, like you are in crutches. So yeah, I would say altogether it was a pretty long process, probably around 15, 18.
Yeah, that's
weeks.
A lot, Karen. And I saw you a couple of times during that process. So I definitely, watched you kind of go through that. I don't even want to say struggle through it, because you always had a brave face and a smile on your face, because that's who you are. But what were some of the struggles for you during that time? Yeah,
the biggest struggle for me was the emotional part and the reality that I'm not invincible. I always worked out. I always felt great. And I thought, it never even occurred to me that I could get an injury that was going to incapacitate me to that degree.
Yeah.
It literally never even occurred to me. So that was a big blow to my ego a little bit. You know, a couple people said to me, "Oh no, not you, not Karen DeLuca. You're Superwoman or Wonder Woman or whatever." And like, it was kind of nice that that's how they looked at me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it made me a little upset because I was like, no, I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
human beings I didn't say that to anyone who would say that to me because I didn't want to make them feel badly. But it was a little upsetting to me because I was like, no, I'm human. I can get injured.
Yeah.
I'm not invincible. And I'm having to come to those terms. So everybody around me better come to those terms too. And, so I think, and being sedentary for me.
Right. I can imagine for
Not
someone like you.
Yeah. Not
It's tough. What
not
did you do? Were
easy.
you able to do anything at all during that time physically in terms of moving your body? Because it's your whole life.
Yeah. Well, what my husband did was I was really just in the den in our family room because we have an electronic recliner. So that's where I was sleeping.
Yeah.
And that's where I was. And we also have a powder room in there, so I could get to the bathroom a little easier. But that's where I stayed most of the time.
So you're really
and then
just recovering.
Yeah. But then I was able to hobble into the kitchen. And then showers, my husband would have to help me with the shower. That was the hardest part.
Well, okay, listen, I hope everyone can appreciate that I keep weaving my own story into this only because the similarity is real, that I just went through a surgery myself and had the same experience in terms of, we knew there would be healing involved, of course, but I couldn't move my left arm at all. And my husband had to help me as well with the showering. So let's just get personal. How was that for you? Did it improve your marriage or did it hurt your marriage?
You
don't have to say.
He was the poor thing. He was so stressed through the whole time because, it's just me and him at home. The kids live in Boston, and we really didn't have any help. So I felt bad. Like so much was on his plate with his business, and now he was like having to take care of me. And when you're so accustomed to being an independent person and not relying on other people, that's a hard pill to swallow.
It is.
And I felt like it was becoming more of an issue for him. And I didn't, I felt bad. I wanted to try to ease his burden. That's my goal, is always to try to ease his burden because he's got a lot on his plate. But now I was adding to it. So, but I was helping him. I do his administrative work for him, for his business. So we were able to, our IT guy set us up at home. He set me up with a laptop and connected me to my husband. So I would sit in the dining room with my leg up, and I would do, the administrative stuff for my husband. So I was still able to do that, but that was not until about, I would say about 3 or 4 weeks into my injury.
Yeah, of course. You've got to heal and so forth. And but listen, one thing that I walked away with my own personal experience was that I felt so grateful that I had my husband home.
Yes,
and also I had
absolutely.
my kids home. You just said your kids were away. We'll get to that in a minute. But I had a family here that could all help and pitch in. But you're right. All of a sudden, I couldn't do all of those things that I normally contribute to a household.
Right.
And that was tough. It was hard. Now, grateful for number one, but also tough because I didn't want to put a burden on everybody.
Right.
But then I think about people that maybe don't have someone at home to help them through a difficult time or a surgery. And I was really reflective. Did you feel that at all? Like moments of like, wow, I thank God I have my husband.
Yes.
And
no, I absolutely did. But I think for women, we're just naturally caregivers.
Great point.
And which is funny because the term is caretaker. Really, I guess we're taking care of someone, but we're giving care to people. And so, not that men can't do that, they can, but for women, I think it's like a natural thing to want to take care of people. Yeah. And then when somebody has to take care of you, you feel this like guilt, but I did get to a point where I was like, all right, I have to let that go because I need to focus. Actually, a friend of mine, she said that to me. She said, you have to stop feeling guilty and stop feeling like you're a burden, because you need to heal. You need to use your energy to heal your body. And she said to me, you know how you use your energy to work out and how much that requires when you're exercising. She said, your body right now, your knee is working out.
Wow.
Without moving, it's working
it's
out.
Healing.
It's healing. The healing process is work. And that made a lot of sense to me.
I love that. I'm glad you just paused on that too, because I feel the same way in life, like especially these days. There's such a push to do so much.
Right.
And we're used as well, you just said as women, I'll say the same thing. As women, we do a lot. I'm not saying that men don't, everybody. We're not saying that. We're just happen to be talking about ourselves. So, but mothers, wives, professionals, and then household, whatever those things are. So as women, we do a lot. So it's hard to let somebody else step in and, I guess, take care of us for a while. But the healing, back to the healing. Sorry, got back to the healing for a minute. I also believe that you really can't fully heal properly when you have constant stress around you.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Totally agree with that. Yes. You need peace and calm in your life in order for you to heal. And I had a lot of stress this summer, still having some stress in my life. And it definitely wreaks havoc on your body. And if you have something extra going on in your life, like a surgery in your shoulder, a broken knee, a torn labrum that I now have from a car accident that happened at the end of when I just started driving again.
Unreal.
But I do feel like, and I'll get back to it, but I feel like that was a blessing in disguise, maybe. But the stress factor definitely delays healing.
Yeah.
And it really can hinder it. So you have to kind of go into a little bit of a meditation mode. Go inward and just focus on, put all of your energy to your shoulder. Yeah. The shoulder needs to heal. When you're in PT, lay there. I know a lot of times it's social people, that are there. There's lovely people at the PT place and they want to talk and whatever, and that's fine. But when you have the opportunity, focus and just think about your shoulder and kind of visualize what's happening inside there, and it's healing, and all the little fibers are coming back together, and all the nerves are regaining their energy again, and sending the right signals. You have to send the signal from your brain and from your emotions to that part of your body. And I try to do that even with just regular exercise. I'm also a Pilates instructor, as you know.
Yes, I know.
So Pilates, in our practice of Pilates, we call it mindful exercise. And I always say to my clients, I probably said it to you as well, you want you to connect your mind to your muscle. Yes. So if I'm saying we're working your bicep right now, I want your mind to go right to that muscle. When you do that, it is amazing how much more effective. You can feel the difference. And so it's the same thing, whether it's fitness or it's healing. If you can use your mind, I always say fitness is 80% mental. Yeah. 20% physical. If you can use your mind to help connect to your body and tell your body what you want it to do, it makes a huge difference. Unfortunately, over the summer, when I was in an emotional roller coaster ride, or spiral, I should say, I forgot that for a while. I guess I was having a little bit of a pity party. And
you're allowed.
I guess I forgot that I needed to spend that time focusing on healing and getting my mind to connect to that part of my body. So that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you just described that, and are taking me back to your Pilates classes that I took as well. And I'm also thinking about, you talked in the beginning of this conversation about how you care about people, and a couple of things also just came to mind. One is that you also brought a bunch of your clients together, myself included, to go to a yoga class here on Long Island.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you were with me that day.
And so here you teach your own Pilates classes, but you think enough of, hey, let's all try this together. And then we went to this lovely place called the Dreaming Tree in Northport, New York. But it was a place of, you just made me think of it because you're talking about healing and getting your mind to think. And you walked in this Zen experience. And I love that you bring your clients to different moments like that. Another one was Karen brought me to acupuncture.
Oh, wait. But I don't know if you thanked me for that one.
Yes, I did. But, these are some other things I think about when I think of you is how deeply you care about your clients is you go above and beyond. It's not just, okay, a fitness class and okay, see you later, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's great too. But you bring people to things that they need in their life. And you thought acupuncture would be great for me for something that I needed. And you actually went with me. You didn't just say, hey, here's the guy's number. Right. Like, I'm going to take you and sat in the room with me while I had the needles put it. So that's amazing. So
I forgot. I forget these things that I do sometimes. It's bad.
Just
that's what happens when you're 61.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I think I'm already starting to feel some of those things too. I'm like, the words, do you ever see this? Like you could see the word up there on the top of your head.
Yes.
And you're trying to pull it down.
Yeah. The simplest words. Yes. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. Like, okay, I know it's there. Can you please help me?
Right. What's that word about?
What's that word?
The word's about.
In fact, that's one of my biggest fears right now is that exact kind of thing. Like from a professional perspective, even like when you have to speak in front of the room and the words sometimes are getting jumbled these days. Yeah. And I'm like, come on, you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen to you?
Oh yeah. All the time. Yes.
So just to shift gears for a moment, we talked a lot about the fitness side of it. You also were in corporate America, and I don't want to get too much further without mentioning that you have an amazing family.
Thank you.
So let's pause for a sec. Your husband, Jim DeLuca, here on Long Island, has his own business. As you mentioned earlier, our husbands work together. And Jim owns DeLuca Design Architects here. And would you say it's in Cold Spring Harbor?
Yeah, it's Cold Spring Harbor. Yep.
And he builds how would you describe it? I mean, he designed my home, first of all.
Yes. Which has now become my favorite home.
Oh, wow.
No, it really has. I love your style. I love everything you've done in this house. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You should do a podcast just going around your house, videotaping and talking about each room. Very interesting stuff.
Thank you. It's different.
I love it.
But the outside is just, it's a DeLuca. We call it, it's a DeLuca design house.
Yeah.
So
it is. It's beautiful. I mean, he does mostly residential, custom residential, but he does do some commercial, but not a lot. And he definitely has a style. Like a lot of people will say, I want that DeLuca style, which is, it's beautiful peaks and, beautiful windows. And I mean, it's just kind of like a traditional, transitional, maybe you can call it that style. Okay. But it's great. He's been in business now for about 35 years.
Has it been? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does most of his business, I would say like 92% of his business is in the township of Huntington. Mm-hmm. I mean, Huntington Township is pretty big and wide. Right. But he does a lot in Cold Spring Harbor, Lloyd Neck, Centerport, Huntington Harbor, Huntington Bay.
Yes.
Is a big one now.
Beautiful homes.
Yeah.
They really are.
Oh, thank you.
They're stunning. And you just mentioned that DeLuca has a look. I'll mention here my daughter, she's 16 years old, has said numerous times, I hope that I'll be able to have a DeLuca design house when I own a house.
That's a huge compliment.
That's what I said. I'm like, you're 16. Like maybe we'll hope for that for you too. But she just,
well, he's not retiring anytime soon.
There you go.
So,
so there you go.
Yeah, he'll be around. Well, I'm going to try to keep him healthy. I get him to go to the gym too.
I'm sure you do.
But
Jim looks like he works out, so you've done a good job. You look great, Jim.
Yeah. Yes, he's doing great. But yeah, so his business is, it's doing well. And part of, I don't know where you were going just now.
You go ahead. Go for it.
Part of his business, he always referred his clients to landscape designers, when it got to that point. And this summer when I broke my knee and I was incapacitated and literally like 2 minutes after I announced to my clients that I was incapacitated and was going to be for, I thought 6 weeks, because that's what the doctor originally told me. 6 weeks, no weight bearing. So I thought, in 6 weeks from now, I'll be back. That wasn't the case. But everybody went elsewhere, which I can't blame them. They want to continue with their fitness program. So they had to go find another gym or whatever. And I couldn't teach any Pilates classes, obviously. And I realized I need to be a productive person. I need to be able to make money. I'm getting older.
Yeah.
And I need to find a way to make some money and feel productive and feel like I'm contributing something positive that doesn't necessarily require me to use my body.
Okay.
And that's when I had sort of an epiphany over the summer and started really seriously thinking about landscape designing, because I had done it. I've always had a huge interest in it. And I've done several projects at my own home. And then I've helped other people, friends of mine. And then one of my friends said to me, it was like I was having this thought. And then she said to me, I was just thinking, I just saw this advertisement for a landscape designing class. I think you should look into it.
Oh, really? That's how it
and
started.
That's how it started. So I looked into it, and literally the day that I called to find out about it was the last day for enrollment. So it was like it was meant to be. So I enrolled in the class, and in the beginning, because it was in September, I wasn't driving yet. So my husband drove me to the first couple of classes, which was at night, 7 to 10 p.m. on Thursday nights. And he drove me. And then a couple weeks, like maybe the third week, I started driving myself. Unfortunately, that was when I got into a car accident on the way home from my class.
I can't.
Yeah, sitting at a red light, I got rear-ended, which sort of re-sprained, didn't re-break, thank God.
Thank goodness.
But re-sprained my ligaments, and I tore my hip labrum. So for me, it was almost like somebody was smacking me, and going, hello, in case you didn't get the message the first time, you need to recreate yourself.
Okay.
And this is serious. Like, don't take this as like, all right, I'm taking this class, and if maybe I'll do something with it, maybe I won't. You need to do something with it.
Right.
And that's kind of like, I almost like heard the voice in my head saying that. And so I took it seriously, and I finished the class, even though I was, now re-injured.
Yeah.
I went back, didn't miss one class at all, and completed it and got my certification.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's really, and so now it's going to be called?
It's called Sage and Stone Landscape Designer.
Wonderful.
And it's a division of DeLuca Designs Architects.
Okay.
So now, instead of my husband referring his clients to other landscape designers, he can refer them to me.
Good for you, Karen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really incredible. I started out this episode by saying, like, yours is a story of resilience. Hopefully we've proven that, the amount of kind of changes that you've had to make. And we've really only touched, of course, on a little bit of your life, although a big fabric of it has been fitness, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's going to be landscape design. So a little plug for you here on Long Island for anyone that's looking for landscape design in this area. We'll put it up on the thread, how to find you. It's on Instagram. It's a brand new Instagram page.
Yes. So I haven't really posted. I put one little post up there, but I need to go back into my photo album and find all of my before photos and my after photos on some of the projects that I've done over the years that I didn't get paid to do, but I was just doing, for fun, for friends and family members, and for myself, as I said before. So I will be posting more. I'm going to have an official launch at some point.
Okay, and that's great. But I encourage anyone that wants to go follow Karen, because she needs some followers.
Yes.
Because that's part of the community here too, is we are made for more, and yours is a story of that. The constant need, like ebbs and flows of life, and you're jumping into something new for yourself.
Yes.
So I hope it's going to be great. But I also want to just say you have two children that are, they're grown children now. They're young adults, and they're out in the world, Jake and Olivia, and they're twins.
Yes, twins.
Are we allowed to say how old they are? Would they mind if we?
No. Age is just a number.
It's just a number.
It's just a number.
But they're in their 20s, right?
They're 26.
Yeah, they're 26. So, we jumped from kind of the beginning of your story to where we are today.
Right. We skipped
But this was
part.
a big part. So just to talk about like the kind of changing tides of your life, because you were also in corporate America. I know we can't talk about everything today, but tell us just a little bit about, if you could, how you transitioned from, went from fitness, kept fitness in your life, but then to having a family, and a little bit about the corporate part in the middle.
Yeah. So out of college, I was teaching classes at Greg Buttle's and training people in the fitness room, all through college. And then when I finished college, they were opening up their second location.
Okay.
And they had a trailer, which Greg Buttle approached me and he said, I want you to sell memberships, pre-opening memberships.
Okay.
Because he knew I had just graduated and, I was kind of not knowing what I was going to do. And he said, I want you to come and work for me full time. So I did. I sold memberships in the trailer. It was under construction. And that's how I met my husband, because he came into the trailer one day.
Love the story.
Not knowing that he was the architect. I tried to sell him a membership. And I'm showing him the model of the gym, which he designed, and he built that model.
That's great.
And he just let me go through my whole spiel. And then at the end, I said, so how would you like to pay for your membership? And he said, oh, well, actually, I'm the architect who designed it, and I get a free membership. And I was like, I was so annoyed. So right from the start, he annoyed me. So of course I had to marry him.
I was going to say, he probably loved what he saw and wanted to hear you talk all about how wonderful his design was. Nice job, Jim.
But all I did was get annoyed with him because I'm like, you just wasted my time.
That's cute.
Anyway, so that's how we met. But we really just were friends for a long time. And then, so I sold memberships at the gym, and I would see him.
Yeah.
I would see him there. And, sometimes he would walk me to my car at the end of my shift or whatever. And I did that for about, I want to say maybe a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up working for a publishing company. I left there. I felt like I needed to move on. I was still teaching. I was still connected to the fitness world because I continued teaching exercise classes always. I really kind of never stopped, except for when I was pregnant with the twins. But I continued teaching all along. So I ended up at a publishing firm, and I was there for 8 years. And I started out as an account manager. No, an account executive.
Okay.
And then within about a year and a half, I became district manager. And at about year 3, I became branch manager of all of Long Island and Queens and Brooklyn.
Right.
And
it was a big job.
It was a big job. It was a lot of stress. During that time, Jim and I ended up getting married and then buying a house in Centerport. Yeah. And we, we're just going along, but it was a very stressful job. And at one point, the company it went public, and then they were bought out by an acquisitions company. And it was just, the writing was on the wall. They kind of were like pushing me. They wanted me out. I was making too much money.
Yeah.
So
good for you. But
yeah, good for me. But they were causing me a lot of stress. So, so I negotiated a good deal with them, and I ended up leaving. And I said to my husband, I am so done with corporate America. I can't take the stress anymore. And this is before we had the kids. I said, I want to go back to fitness full time. So that's when I got certified as, a real certification as a personal trainer, because that's when now personal training was like the thing.
Yes.
It wasn't back in the early 80s when I was first in the fitness world. It was not really a thing. Now it was.
And look at it. Yeah. And look at it today.
Today it's really a thing. So I got my certification and I started working at a gym, and like very quickly I had like 40 clients.
Really?
So it was
that fast?
It was it was really crazy, and I was back to back clients, and it was rough. I would have to like say to somebody, "Oh, jump on while you're warming up on the treadmill," so I could run to the bathroom, real quick, and then grab a bite of something. It was a lot. So, but I was enjoying it, and I just loved being in that world. And then my former regional manager from the publishing company I had worked for, he had left, and he moved to MasterCard International. And he calls me and he says, I have the perfect job for you. So I went and I interviewed with the marketing firm.
Now, did you have kids yet?
Nope.
You didn't at this
point?
point?
Didn't have kids yet. No. I went, I interviewed, I said to him, I'm like, Steve, I have no interest in corporate America. He's not, no, this is going to be very different. Trust me. He's like, and it's a project that you're going to run the show. And you're not going to have to deal with other people. It's going to be like your own little business within this
Very
marketing
compelling.
firm.
Yeah.
Very compelling. So I went and I interviewed, and I was so disinterested, I want to say, in going back into this corporate world, that I was so relaxed on this interview, so relaxed that they loved me.
There you go.
And then
because you're like thinking, okay,
yeah, I was thinking, I don't want this. I have this now.
Right.
I don't want this. So I'll just go. I had to do it because Steve, as a favor to him, I didn't want to make him look bad. And then they wanted me for this job. They presented my offer. I gave them an offer of what I wanted to earn. And they went to MasterCard and they said, okay. They met everything I don't want to say demands, but
was that a hard decision to make? Because here you didn't want it. You're like, I'm going to ask for something that they won't even give me. They give it to you.
Yes.
Was that a hard decision to make to do it?
Well, yeah. And it was kind of funny because when they told me that the owners of the marketing firm, when they called me and said, MasterCard agreed. And I was like, it was on a Friday. I go, okay, well, can I think about it over the weekend? And they were like, think about it.
Right,
They just met all of your... And I didn't know I don't know why I said that, but I did. I need to think about it. So that weekend, my husband and I sat down and we wrote all the pros and cons of each thing, staying in the fitness world or taking this job. And the job kind of had a lot more benefits. So I took the job.
So you went for it.
I went for it.
We have to pause for 1 second because I feel like you just nailed some perfections of interviewing. So for those that are thinking about interviews,
be relaxed.
Be relaxed is
Right.
number one. Like, be yourself. Like, how much better can you be if you show up as your true self? Of course, do your best, everybody, but relaxed is like you could get to see who you really are, right?
Right.
And then you talked about
which part?
Oh, asking for what you really want.
Yes.
If you can, right?
Yeah.
If it's in the right marketplace where you can ask what you really want.
Yeah.
And then even if you get what you want, number 3 is think about it. Make sure it's the right decision for you. So anyway, you just kind of nailed those things.
Yep.
So I thought I'd talk about it.
Yeah. And it's funny because I obviously didn't do that intentionally. But,
right. But it happened.
But it happened. And it worked out. It worked out great because then I ended up loving that job. And he was right. It was like my own little world. I kind of lived in there. I didn't engage with a lot of all the other account managers because I didn't have to. Yeah. We all had our own accounts that we managed. So it was perfect. And I dealt with MasterCard International, just like the VPs with that at that company, and Ticketmaster because I was...
Oh, really? Ticketmaster too?
Yeah, because the program that I spearheaded was called the Gold Ticket Event Program. And at the time, American Express was doing their Gold Card event program, and we changed the name to Gold Ticket. Get the golden ticket, or golden ticket, maybe we called it. You get the best seats in the house if you use your Gold MasterCard. And so my liaison was Ticketmaster because if we had a sporting event that we wanted to get the best seats in the house for our MasterCard Gold card holders, I would have to negotiate with Ticketmaster, and they would work with the sporting event person or the Broadway show producer, and they would help us get the best seats in the house. And, it would be like a block of seats. And whoever first come, first serve, whoever ordered the tickets first with their Gold MasterCard would get those best seats in the house. Okay. Yeah, so it was a great program. I did all the advertising for them. I actually did some of the designing of the ads. So I worked with we had a whole creative team at the marketing firm that I worked for, and I would work very closely with them. And I loved doing the design. Okay. I've always had like a little bit of a, interest in designing.
There you go, because now you're designing landscaping.
Right.
But yes.
Yeah, and even with fitness, designing bodies.
That's true too.
I'm designing bodies. Now I'm designing landscape. I designed ads for newspapers and magazines and billboards back in the day. So I got to do, my creative juices were being, really met.
And how long were you there for?
I was there about 2.5 years.
Okay.
But I became pregnant with the twins during that time. Yeah. And The job was, I did a lot of late nights because a lot of times I had to be at my office with the creative team. If we were placing an ad in a newspaper, LA Times, 5:30 our time is 8:30 their time.
Yeah.
So
you had to be there.
I would have to be there, and you can't do that with 2 babies at home.
I know.
So
you knew what was important.
Yes. So I left that job, even though it really bothered me to leave it, but I left that job and had the twins. And about 3 months into it, after they were born, I went right back into fitness.
Amazing.
And built up a personal training business. I trained people at a couple of local gyms, but then I started training people at their homes, and I worked it around the kids' schedule. My husband being in his own business, a lot of times I was training people at 5:30 in the morning.
I know
they're all
that's amazing
sleeping.
That you can right, and then you still get up and do it.
Yeah.
But like we said before, that's fitness has been in your life since you were 3 years old. So
yes,
I love that. I love your whole story. And like we said, you've shown how you transition from all these different things as life goes on. So just a couple last thoughts here as we wrap up today. What inspires you in life? What are some things that inspire you?
I was actually just saying this recently to a friend of mine about how what I love about being 61 years old is that I'm still learning. And as long as you're still learning, you're still living. And I think that's so important. Like, I've learned a lot of life lessons over the last year, almost year, maybe, about a year. A lot of life lessons. And you think that, you think at a certain age, you get to a certain age and there's nothing more to really learn. But I'm realizing that there's a lot to learn. Yeah. And I'm also realizing that it's never too late to make a change in your life. If you feel the need that there's something else out there you want to do, go for it. Doesn't mean you have to leave what you're presently doing. Mm-hmm. You can continue doing that. But if you feel this need to, and it's good sometimes to hang on to what you are doing and then transition into what you're really meant to do.
Ooh, I like that.
I think that's something I really have learned through this experience with my knee and, everything else. I've learned that, it's just never too late to make changes in your life.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you for that one. And what about, if I were to say, what are you most proud of? And I'm sure there's a lot of things, but,
well, I'm going to say the usual thing that people will say.
Bring it.
My children.
Okay.
And the family that my husband and I have, created together. Mm-hmm. I think they're amazing kids. Yeah. Or people. They're not kids anymore.
They're your kids.
They're my kids. They're just amazing. They have incredible integrity. And to me, that is one of the most important things. I've always said to my kids, if you're going to do something, do it from the heart, and be proud of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think I would say that that's probably the thing I'm most proud of.
Well, that's a good one, Karen. I have to say it's a good one. You've brought two people into the world that you're proud of, and the life lessons that you've taught them as you kind of share your own story.
And they both exercise.
Is invaluable. There you go. And one works for a fitness company. I just have to say.
Oh, yes, that's true. Olivia works for Noble.
Right.
Noble. Not Noble.
Right.
It's Noble, which is an athletic, clothing company.
Yes. And
she got into that through CrossFit. She was doing CrossFit, and they were CrossFit sponsors. So
and that's
CrossFit Games.
Really, I say it's an up and coming company, but it is. It's fairly new to the marketplace. And it's got a lot of really cool things going on. And Jake,
Tom Brady just signed on with them. Yep. He's on with them, joining forces with them.
Which we'll have to all watch that, everybody. And then Jake is your son, and he's not in the fitness world, but
he has been exercising, which was a challenge to get him to exercise for a very long time. And now he's so into it, and I'm so happy for him because he really feels great and he looks amazing. that's the benefit. He exercised because he needed to feel good, and from it he looks amazing. So and they're both in Boston, and which is a great town. So we get to go and visit, and we love that.
Exactly. Is there anything as we close today? Anything else that you want to share with everybody? I know it feels like a loaded question, but I don't want to leave anything out just in case.
Yeah, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. Sage and stone.
There we go. Sage and stone.
Which, by the way, Sage is Olivia's middle name. And stone, because Jake is a landscape, he has his undergrad in architecture. Mm-hmm. He has his graduate in landscape architecture and urban design. And we are going to use him as a consultant for my landscape designing business. So whenever there's, patios or a pool or a cabana or anything like that, he will be consulting with us.
Oh, that's fantastic. He'll be I love how you brought your children into the name of the company.
Yeah.
That makes it even more special.
Yep. They're my inspiration.
I can relate to that. That's beautiful. Well, speaking of inspiration, thank you for the inspiration that you brought here today to all of us, to myself, for spending this time with me and doing this episode. I hope that a number of people hear it. We always say if one person hears it and it makes a difference for them, great. But please like and share. Follow the podcast, everybody. We are made for more. Feel free to look me up on Megan Alexander Being Real, and look up Karen at Sage and Stone. No. Yes.
Yes, Sage and Stone. See, so new.
No, it is so new. So bear with us.
Sage and Stone Landscape Designer. That's what's on Instagram. It's just Sage and Stone Landscape Designer.
Perfect. And we could even have them look up your husband, which is
DeLuca Designs Architects on Instagram.
Wonderful. And they could take a look at his amazing houses here on Long Island, and hopefully people reach out to you as well. But thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. You know what I love to say. Peace out.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, bookmark this podcast and follow Megan on Instagram. Okay, now for the disclaimer. This podcast is solely for educational and entertainment purposes. Megan is not a licensed therapist, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified profession. Goodbye, everybody.